legislature, Jeb Bush and his corporate backers, by defeating, I think, probably the worst bill of this session, the parent trigger bill.
Yeah.
The centerpiece of the parent trigger bill had nothing to do with empowering parents or improving the future for children, but everything to do with money and the hostile takeover of education by large for-profit management companies.
Right. Amen.
We stopped them because we had something they didn't: a solid and unwavering refusal to put our schools, our teachers, and our children up for sale. I have to tell you, it was close. And you know, you look at that board and you just wonder, are the votes going to be there? It came down to 20-20. 12 Democrats, all of our 12 Democrats, and 8 Republicans. And I have to tell you, all of these 3 things that I mentioned to you, the women's reproductive rights, the prison privatization, and the parent trigger bill, we couldn't do it by ourselves. We had to do it, as Senator Nelson was mentioning, we had to do it in coalition with some of the, what I would consider, and I know people think it's a funny word, moderate, but moderate in the sense that they were not willing, those Republicans, to support this right-wing agenda. So we were able to defeat these bills. I think that as Rick Scott and Jeb Bush and other Republicans quickly learned, those invisible and irrelevant Democrats weren't so invisible and irrelevant after all. In fact, with your support, with your votes, this November, we will show them the power of Democrats. We will show them how visible and relevant we really are. And with your help, putting more Democrats in office, we will show them too. If you think 12 of us are a force to be reckoned with in the Senate, just wait till we show up with more. Despite everything they've thrown at us, every election law change they've devised to suppress our vote and stack the decks, Democrats are coming. At the local, the state, and the national levels, we are coming because we've had enough. Just ask yourselves this: has your property insurance dropped like a rock? How about your driver's license fees, car registrations or titles, road tolls, electric bills, or how about college tuition? Because all of these increases, all of these billions of dollars in new or higher taxes, they cleverly disguised as fees, are the price we paid for conservative Republican control in Florida. And I ask you, have we had enough?
Yes.
Yes. In fact, about the only 2 things that have been dropping, other than Rick Scott's approval ratings, as you heard, are the number of people able to find work, the number of jobs paying above the minimum wage, and the amount of money Republicans have been dedicating to pay for education, health care, and other critical public services, and the ability of middle and working class families to get ahead. The choice we face is simple. Do we want more Republicans like Rick Scott? No. The same Rick Scott who has helped other states' economic rebounds, but not ours. And you ask why? Well, by rejecting billions in federal money for Florida, first to start a state-of-the-art high-speed rail system. That's more, anywhere, you've heard estimates of up to $50,000 jobs lost in a state with one of the highest unemployment rates, and where construction has been the biggest casualty of the Great Recession. Do we want another Rick Scott who willingly starves education and health care? No. And don't let anybody tell you that we put $1 billion new into education K-12 this year, because that is not the truth. It's more like about $840 million when we cut $1.3 billion the year before.
Right.
And in addition to that, sadly, we cut, and we are 50th in the nation in higher education funding. We cut $300 million, the Republican legislature, and Rick Scott this year in higher ed. Schools like the University of Florida are now facing cuts. The College of Arts and Sciences is facing a 25-person cut in the numbers that work at that college. That's just unconscionable. Can we afford another Rick Scott, who carried his war on the President's Affordable Care Act from the corporate world, where he first started it, to the governor's mansion, and thumbed his nose at millions of federal dollars, our tax dollars, that each of us paid, that was sent to Washington for health care programs here in Florida? I want you to know that just this week, I spent hours on this on the phone this week, it's sad, that there were grants for what we call the Maternal Infant Early Childhood Home Visiting Program. Last year, we lost $4 million in that program. This week, the Department of Children and Families sent a letter to George Sheldon, who's the former Secretary of DCF in our state, sent a letter returning $4.9 million. You know where that money was going? It was going to Healthy Families and Healthy Start to prevent child abuse, to prevent child abuse in homes. These are the children that are the core of those that go into our foster care system. And we return that money this week. We're having a Legislative Budget Commission meeting on Thursday. This money is gone. We can't even talk about it.
Turn the money back.
Can Florida risk another Rick Scott who shoots from the hip executive orders that land him in court and taxpayers on the hook, as you've heard, for about $1 million so far? And that does not include the millions that were spent by the legislature to defend unconstitutional redistricting maps. Everyone all together, have we had enough? As many of you know, this is my final year in the Florida Senate. And I can't reveal it since everybody already has that I'm running for governor. And I can assure you that my mission is far from over, as I know yours is. Because as long as the playing field is uneven, as long as our seniors and our children are under attack instead of under our protection, as long as our public education is seen as a source of corporate profits rather than a source of learning and inspiration, and as long as women's rights to privacy, self-determination, and equality are under threat, there is too much to do and too many battles to fight. Our view of the world as Democrats is different. We believe in opportunity and equality for all. We recognize that however successful, and just think about this, because the president got a lot of flack from this, but I know all of us in this room believe this. We recognize that however successful we may be, we didn't do it on our own.
Exactly.
And once we enjoy success, we realize we have a moral obligation to give back to the society that enabled our success. And yes, it does take a village.
Yes.
That translates into making an investment in education, in the most vulnerable in our communities, in a fair and efficient justice system that resolves disputes, and yes, even seeks to prevent crime by treating the underlying causes, mental illness and substance abuse. That we have a society that is as free as possible from prejudice of any kind, whether it's based on race or religion, sexual orientation or identity. That we ensure that every citizen is able to vote instead of manipulating voting laws and procedures and instituting a discriminatory voter purge for partisan advantage. This is the vision that we have for our state. There will be many challenges on the road ahead. As I've told people, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, because unfortunately our governor is not up for re-election until 2014. but I'll be around from now until then. We have a formidable force, and we will not only win the battle, we will win this war. Thank you.